This is the paulistao and Carioca Week 3 review. And today I have to start with the Paulistao and their performance against England. This is Filipão's first game. And last episode I went over the roster and what I liked and what I didn't like. But when I saw it put into play by Filipão, first I have to just caveat my statements by saying this. He only had about a training session and a half to get the team ready to play against England. So he was already facing an uphill battle, but I'm not going to make excuses for him because the way this formation came out, it just wasn't clicking. You had Neymar roaming around. I guess Neymar was starting on the right according to some reports. I didn't really see it. He was more operating from his usual left. Ronaldinho Gaúcho was playing almost I don't even know what it was, a withdrawn striker, I suppose of number 10, but he doesn't get back and help on defense, so it really didn't help. And Luis Fabiano, he didn't really help much with pressing back on defense, nor when he got the ball around the box did he do anything with it. Now, Fabiano, I still have confidence in him. I pick him over Fred, even though Fred got a goal in the second half. But that's a whole different story for a different day. But I still have confidence in Fabiano. I don't think we should judge him out this game. About Gaúcho, Ronaldinho, I don't really see what everyone's seeing. Like, I have told everyone that he's had a great year and a half since he's been back in Brazil. And with Atletico Mineiro, he's been really good. But I have to say, every time with the Paulistão, he just disappoints. And you need to find a specific position for him because he won't track back on defense and he won't do the dirty work. And in international football, you need to do dirty work constantly and track back on defense. This back four debuted Adriano. He got torn up. He was just an absolute mess back there. David Luiz, he looked alright. He looked good. I don't know if it was more to do with Dante, his center back partner. But Dante looked good according to a lot of people. But still, I didn't see the hype around Dante. I don't think he's that big an upgrade over David Luiz when Thiago Silva comes back. So I don't know where we're going to go there. I need to see more of Dante. So I want to see more of him because his touch is just pure class. And I think he has good positioning. So we got to see where that goes. Julio Cesar, goalie. I was very happy with this. I even told you guys I was a little bit skeptical about this, but I'm willing to keep an open mind about stuff. And Julio Cesar came out and he played a pretty good game. He looked sharp. He didn't make a bobble on one shot. He shouldn't have, but that happens. It's a game. We can't control everything. They're not robots out there, so not everything can be perfect. But he looked sharp and he looks on him. He looks in form. And I've watched a few of his games at QPR and he did look good there. So that's one thing I have to point out of the positives. But right, this Falanchi position, this midfield position, is just bad. Aruca came in with a substitute appearance and pretty much gave away a goal to Frank Lampard. It was a goal also by Frank. I give Frank credit. But then again, Aruca should have never turned over the ball in his own box like that. Then you have to look at Paulinho. Very disappointing, especially since I've been one singing the man's praises. And Paulinho, one thing about Paulinho, he's never going to have a bad game for you. He's always consistent. He's always a consistently good player. His passing's good. His work rate's good. He's not going to let you down, but he let the team down today, and I was expecting more out of him. Ramirez, he was average once again. He didn't add much to the game, and I have to look at him and say he wasn't too impressive to me either. And then John came in. I wasn't too happy with him either, but I think he played better. But once again, we didn't have enough sample size to judge him. But unfortunately, there were too many negatives in this game. Ronaldinho missed a penalty. The front three was not working with Fabiano, Neymar, and Ronaldinho. It just wasn't working. And the Falanchi position, we were getting no good ball movement at all. So these are all huge concerns that definitely need to be fixed by Filipão. And I wish he had another game in this FIFA date so he could work with these guys a little. It didn't help that Hernani's pulled out last minute. He will play this Sunday. I'm going to just throw that in there. I'm not criticizing the man, but you know, he is playing this Sunday, but he couldn't cut it for us Wednesday or even to sit on the bench and learn some tactics from Filipão and what Filipão's vision for the team is. But I'm not going to go too hard on him with that because you want to know what everyone seems to be focusing on with this team? They're not focusing on the lack of ball movement. They're not focusing on the spotty defense. They're not focusing on the fact that Ronaldinho can come in this team and start. So we need to take a look at ourselves when we're putting down a lineup like that. I thought it was a good lineup. You know what? It didn't work. Maybe with more time it will work. But it happened. England outplayed us in every facet of the game. So that has to be looked at. Jack Wilshere was bossing that midfield. It's just a fact. I'm not trying to be negative, Brazil fans, because I'm one of the bigger fans, but, you know, Wilshere bossed that game, and, you know, a guy who can play deep in the midfield is worth his weight in gold in this day and age, especially in international football where everything's so tight. And a guy who's been getting a lot of criticism is Neymar. People seem to think that, oh, if he goes to Europe, it's magically going to solve his problems. Like, Europe's going to sprinkle pixie dust on him, and he's somehow going to get better. And people are throwing out that he's never performed well in big games. If he's playing elite opposition, he folds under pressure. If he folds against high defensive lines. I just want to say this is a bunch of crap. And Neymar has performed in big games, and some big games he hasn't been himself, and that happens. The guy's only 21 years old, and we're acting like if he goes to Europe, they have such better coaches, he's going to be able to figure everything out over there, and that's somehow going to solve the Seleção's problems. You know what? Even if Neymar was at the top of his game, Seleção would still lose because the ball movement and defense is horrible. It's just horrible, and these same problems persist. So somehow it goes into the Neymar going to Europe debate again, and I do think the kid needs to go to Europe eventually, but, you know, right now, I think he's getting tested in the Brasileiro. And a lot of Brasileiro and Brazilian fans are mad because Joey Barton called the Brazilian league the Amazon Jungle League, something to that extent, and he was bashing Neymar on Twitter. But it's the same of what you guys do. You guys put down the Brasileiro like it's not an elite league. It is a very good league, and Neymar gets tested week in and week out. He's already had to make adaptations to his game to work around the lack of space, and he works on that week in and week out in the paulistao and Brasileiro, and I think he's getting better, and he's still improving. I don't think moving him to Europe is going to make him improve that much faster. I think he is here until the World Cup, and people need to start dealing with it and stop getting salty about it and stop discrediting him for staying here. Like I said before, I said a few podcasts back, maybe he's too big for Brazil. He is too big for Brazil because people are starting to resent his fame and his acumen around the world, and people think he's overhyped. Maybe he is, but you know what? Neymar has earned a lot of the praise he gets. And Fred scored a nice goal to start the second half. I liked how Filipao put Lucas in and we were pressing a little bit more. Oscar had a really good second half. I really liked the way Oscar looked. He stepped up and he pretty much proved to Filipao, I need to be in the starting 11. You need to find a place for me. Maybe I'm not your number 10. Maybe I'm too small to be a Valanchi, but you got to find a place for me. So Oscar made his claim. So I give Oscar credit, and Filipao, let's hope he uses some of this things he's learned from this game against England, and let's hope he uses it for the better. And let's hope we don't have more games that are this painful. This was a very painful game to watch. Even with now on to some Carioca and paulistao. Sorry I was a little late on it because I was just waiting for the Brazil game so I could give you my thoughts on that. Now, we had some really good games in the Carioca and paulistao. First, we had Pato making his debut. He came off the bench in a 5-0 victory and scored a goal in his first game. I watched his second game full. He made the start. He played about 70 minutes. He looked explosive against Botafogo São Paulo, but his finishing was a little rusty, which is understandable because the man hasn't gotten much first-team football in the last year due to injuries and other concerns. But he looked explosive. That's one big thing I need to say: explosiveness and dynamic, and he looked like he got his speed back. So let's hope these health issues are behind him. Now let's look at something. But unfortunately, Corinthians were unable to win. It was a 0-0 draw. I don't want to paint too rosy a picture, but you know, Corinthians is getting better week by week. I'm sure Cheech will get those guys in line. Now, we had a Clásico, Vasco versus Flamengo, and it was a great game, 4-2, lots of golazos, and I have to take a look at the kid Rafinha. He's balling up there in Rio, and I really like the way the kid's playing. He's really smart. He gets better. It feels like he gets better almost every game. Against Figueirense, he even scored another golazo. The kid's really getting good, and it's not like he has a good number 9 to play with, but he works around it. And since I have to cut the video to 10 minutes, I won't discuss any more of it. So sorry about that, people. There will be a more extensive Carioca and paulistao section.